My name is Margaret. I am 96 years old. And I want you to listen carefully, not because I have all the answers, but because I have lived long enough to see what truly matters and what quietly steals years from people without them realizing it. After 50, life changes in ways no one really prepares you for. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gradually. You begin to notice your energy differently. Your time feels more real. Your priorities shift, even if you try to hold on to the old ones. And slowly, something becomes clear. Not everything you spent your life chasing still deserves your time. Some things that once felt important begin to feel heavy, draining, meaningless. And the hardest part is that most people don't notice this shift until years have already passed. They continue doing the same things out of habit, out of obligation, out of fear, out of the belief that stopping would mean failure. But it doesn't. It means awareness. So today, I want to share 7 things that become a complete waste of time after 50. Things most people hold on to far longer than they should. And things I wish someone had told me earlier, before I gave so much of my life to them. The first one is this: competing with other people. For most of your life, competition feels normal. You compare careers, achievements, income, lifestyles, even happiness. You look around and measure your progress against what others are doing. It starts when you're young, and it never fully stops unless you make a conscious decision to step away from it. But after 50, something important changes. You begin to realize that you are not running the same race as anyone else. Everyone's life has taken a different path. Different struggles, different timing, different priorities. Yet many people continue competing as if they're still being evaluated. Who is more successful? Who is more accomplished? Who is aging better? Who has more? But here is the truth. No one is keeping score. And even if they were, the score wouldn't matter anymore. After 50, peace becomes more valuable than comparison. Clarity becomes more important than recognition. The energy you spend comparing yourself to others drains you slowly. It creates quiet dissatisfaction. It makes you feel behind even when you're exactly where your life has brought you. What matters instead is alignment. Are you living in a way that feels honest? Are your choices bringing you peace? Are you spending your time in ways that reflect who you are now, not who you were trying to be decades ago? Competing with others keeps you stuck in a mindset that no longer serves you. After a certain point in life, the only meaningful comparison is with your past self. Are you calmer than you were? Kinder? More patient? More aware of what truly matters? If the answer is yes, you're growing in ways that most people overlook. And that growth is worth far more than any competition you once believed mattered. The second thing that becomes a waste of time after 50 is tying your identity entirely to your work. For decades, work defines you. It shapes how you introduce yourself, how others see you, how you measure your worth. You build routines around it. You build confidence around it. You build your sense of purpose around it. And for a long time, that feels right. Work gives structure, responsibility, meaning. But what many people don't realize is that at some point, work becomes only one chapter of life. Not the whole story. After 50, you begin to feel this shift. Maybe you're still working. Maybe you're slowing down. Maybe retirement is near, or maybe you're already there. And suddenly, a question appears that feels uncomfortable. Who am I without this role? Without the job title? Without the responsibilities? Without the structure I followed for so many years? Many people struggle here. They feel lost. Not because they stopped working, but because they never developed an identity outside of it. They spent years being needed, productive, valuable in measurable ways. And now they're unsure how to define themselves. What I learned too late is that your worth was never supposed to come from what you do. It comes from who you are, from your presence, from your kindness, from your ability to connect, support, understand, and grow. Work can be meaningful, but it cannot be your entire identity. After 50, your life deserves depth beyond productivity. Curiosity, creativity, relationships, personal growth. Quiet experiences that have nothing to do with being useful to others. The second half of life is not about climbing higher. It's about going deeper. The third thing that becomes a waste of time after 50 is forcing yourself to continue things that no longer bring meaning. This is something people rarely admit. We were taught to finish what we start, to stay committed, to push through, to avoid quitting. And those lessons have value. But they can also trap you. After 50, your time feels different. Not in a frightening way, but in a real way. You begin to understand that your energy is limited. Your focus is precious. Your days are not endless. And yet, many people keep forcing themselves through things they no longer care about. Books they're not enjoying. Social obligations they dread. Projects that stopped mattering years ago. Habits that feel empty but familiar. They continue because stopping feels uncomfortable. Because quitting feels like failure. Because they've already invested so much time. But here's what I learned. Finishing something meaningless does not make you disciplined. It makes you disconnected from your own life. After 50, permission becomes important. Permission to step away. Permission to change direction. Permission to let go of things that once mattered but no longer do. You do not owe your time to every commitment you made in the past. You do not owe your energy to habits that no longer support who you are now. You are allowed to evolve, to shift, to choose differently. The time you free from these things does not disappear. It returns to you. It becomes space. Space to explore, to rest, to reconnect, to discover what actually brings meaning to this stage of your life. And that is not quitting. That is growth. The fourth thing that becomes a waste of time after 50 is living your life based on what others expect from you. For many years, this feels normal. You do what you're supposed to do. You show up where you're expected. You say yes when it feels easier than explaining no. You follow patterns that keep the peace, maintain relationships, and avoid disappointing people. And for a long time, that feels like responsibility. It feels like kindness. It feels like maturity. But after 50, something changes quietly inside you. You begin to notice how much of your life has been shaped by expectations that were never truly yours. Family expectations, social expectations, cultural expectations. The idea of what a good person should do, what a successful life should look like, how a certain age should behave. And suddenly you feel tired in a way that is difficult to explain. Not physically, emotionally. You feel the weight of years spent meeting expectations while slowly losing connection with what you actually wanted. Many people continue living this way because it feels safe. Because stepping away from expectations feels uncomfortable. Because disappointing others feels worse than disappointing yourself. But what I learned too late is that constantly living to please others creates quiet resentment. Not toward them, toward yourself. You start feeling disconnected from your own choices. You feel like you're moving through life instead of guiding it. After 50, authenticity becomes more important than approval. You begin to ask different questions. Do I actually want to be here? Do I actually want to do this? Is this choice coming from me or from fear of what others will think? There is a difference between kindness and people-pleasing. Kindness comes from choice. People-pleasing comes from fear. After a certain point in life, continuing to live for approval drains your energy in ways that become impossible to ignore. And the truth is, the people who genuinely care about you do not need you to perform for them. They need you to be real. The fifth thing that becomes a waste of time after 50 is needing to be right. This one is subtle. For most of your life, being right feels important. You defend your opinions. You explain your choices. You argue your perspective. You try to be understood. And in many situations, clarity matters. Truth matters. Communication matters. But what many people don't notice is how much energy they spend defending positions that no longer improve anything. Arguments that change nothing. Disagreements that leave everyone frustrated. Conversations where both sides are trying to win instead of understand. After 50, something shifts. Peace becomes more valuable than proving a point. You begin to notice how exhausting it is to carry the need to be right in every conversation. You start seeing how often people are not actually listening. They're preparing their response. You realize how much time disappears into debates that leave no one better off. And slowly, your priorities change. You listen more. You react less. You let certain conversations pass without needing to correct them. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started valuing your energy. You learn that not every disagreement deserves your attention. Not every opinion needs your response. Not every situation requires you to prove anything. And when you stop needing the last word, something unexpected happens. You feel lighter, calmer, less defensive, more at peace. The sixth thing that becomes a waste of time after 50 is tolerating people who consistently drain your energy. Everyone has experienced this. People who only reach out when they need something. People who talk but never listen. People who leave you feeling tired after every interaction. They are not necessarily bad people, but they take more than they give. And for many years, you tolerate it, Because you're kind. Because you're patient. Because you believe relationships require endurance. But after 50, your energy feels more valuable. You become more aware of how certain interactions affect your mood, your thoughts, your peace. You notice which conversations leave you feeling calm, and which leave you feeling heavy. And slowly, you begin to understand something important. Not every relationship deserves equal access to your time. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary. It is maturity. It is awareness. You begin to choose your presence more carefully. You invest in relationships where there is reciprocity, where you feel heard, where you feel valued, where connection feels mutual instead of one-sided. And you allow distance where it is needed. Not with anger, not with blame, just with clarity. Because time and energy become too precious to spend where they are constantly drained. And the seventh thing, perhaps the hardest to accept after 50, is expecting people to change. For years, we hold on to hope. Hope that someone will become more understanding, more supportive, more consistent, more emotionally available. We believe that with enough patience, enough communication, enough love, people will eventually grow into who we need them to be. But what I learned too late is this. People show you who they are. Not once, not twice, but consistently over time. And while growth is possible, it cannot be forced. It cannot be expected on your timeline. It cannot be demanded. Holding on to the expectation that someone will become different keeps you stuck. It keeps you waiting. It keeps you invested in a version of them that may never exist. Acceptance does not mean lowering your standards. It means seeing reality clearly. It means understanding the difference between hope and truth. It means recognizing when holding on is hurting you more than letting go. After 50, this clarity becomes essential. You stop trying to reshape people. You stop trying to fix relationships that cannot be repaired from one side. You start making choices based on who people are now, not who you wish they would become. And that is where peace begins. Not in changing others, but in changing how you respond. When I look back at my life now, at 96, I don't regret working hard. I don't regret caring about people. I don't regret trying to do what felt right. But I do see clearly how much time was spent on things that no longer mattered. Things I held onto out of habit, out of fear, out of obligation, out of not realizing that life had entered a new chapter. After 50, life does not shrink. It becomes clearer. Priorities sharpen. Time feels more real. Energy feels more valuable. And the things that once seemed important begin to fade. Not because they were wrong, but because they belong to a different stage of life. The second half of life is not about proving anything. It is about understanding, about letting go of what drains you, about protecting what gives you peace, about choosing presence over pressure, clarity over comparison, meaning over obligation. And if you can see this sooner, truly see it, the years ahead feel lighter, more intentional, more honest, more alive, because the greatest shift after 50 is not in the world around you. It is in how clearly you begin to see what truly deserves your time. If any part of this felt familiar, pause for a moment. Think about where your time is going. Think about what you're holding on to. Think about what you might be ready to release. You don't have to change everything overnight. Awareness is the first step, and sometimes it is the most powerful one. Thank you for listening. And if this message spoke to you, share it with someone who may need to hear it. Because many people spend years learning these lessons. And a few quiet words, at the right time, can change the way someone lives the rest of their life.